Well, good day, everybody. We're back, and today we're going to do some auto body and some primer and paint work on our 2009.
Dad, it's over here.
Oh, right. On our 2009 FXSTC custom softail. Now, having said that, let's get started. Now, just before we get started here, I'd like to give a shout out and a thank you to a lot of our new subscribers. Thanks for joining the channel. I hope you're having a good time. We sure are. And we got this. It's our Axel Snake Dog coffee cup. Now, we got 10 of these, and this one is going out to Adventures with Edna. It's a super channel. You got to check it out. It's very entertaining. He's been a really good supporter of us. And this one's yours, buddy. I'm going to send that out to you. We got 10 of these. We're giving them away. You send me something cool for the wall, and you're going to get a coffee cup. Or at least one of the first 10 anyway. Hey, we're going to need some stuff to do all this here. And I want to thank everybody down at Bestman. Dawn, young Eric, Dennis. I'm going to come visit you, buddy. And they gave us a bunch of materials to try out here. This is their high-end clear coat, and we're going to use that. They also gave us some other clear coats to try, and we tried this on that Ford truck fender we did, and it actually worked really good. They told me it was good, but I hadn't tried it before, so they gave it to me just to try and see if I like it. And yeah, great job, guys. This stuff works great. We're still going to stick with the more expensive clear for this. I painted this bike 14 years ago, 13 years ago, and it's held up really well. The owner takes good care of it, and I still do the maintenance for him. You want to use the higher end stuff, you get higher end results. Like, just look at that. That is a 14-year-old paint job. Now, what we're going to be fixing here is we've got a couple marks there. Let's see if we can get in there. You can see it's chipped up. I matched the paint and dabbed it in the chip there to see that the color is good, and, you know, mix it till it is. And we've got it pretty much dead on. You can't even see that. It's actually really hard to see the chip now. And that's a good thing because it's a good color match. There we go. Now you can see it. But yeah, we just dabbed it in there to see if it matched the color, the original color of the bike. This is Harley Chrome Yellow. And we're going to do a repair on the front fender as well. We did not dab this one in. This was just like done before, just to keep it, you know, keep the rust off it. We're going to go ahead and we're going to repair this and the back fender. So let's get started. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start by taking some wax and grease remover on a clean cotton rag. We're going to wipe the entire surface down. Get any wax residue, anything that's on the surface off. You want to rub that really good. And then wipe it off with a clean, dry towel. And the back fender. You want to do this before you start, just so you're not rubbing contaminants or wax or anything into the paint, which can cause fish eyes and problems later. So clean it really good before you start. And wipe it all off. Perfect. We're going to put some tape on that light just to protect it. We're going to start doing some of the repair right on the bike. This just holds it steady, you know, it's all attached. We're going to do the repairs, and then we're going to take everything off the bike. Just in case. As I said before, people, tape's cheap, paint's expensive. So don't be shy. Put some tape on it. There we go, that should do it. Now, just like to take a minute to point out these stripes and this Harley Davidson emblem, these are not stickers. These are painted right on the bike. I painted these by hand all those years ago, and I'll tell you, a feller can go nuts. Something as simple as a line, it's got to be perfectly symmetrical on both sides. And it's hard. It looks simple, but it's a lot harder to do than you think. This is all done by hand, and I'm going to show you guys how to do this. But for right now, we're going to try to save most of the paint that's here, because there's nothing wrong with it. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a blend, and we're going to keep the primer back as much as we can, and we're just going to fog in some yellow and re-clear the whole thing. So we're not going to be getting into, well, not any more than we have to. We're not going to be getting into this any more than we have to. We're going to try to save a lot of what's there. This is the paint job he likes, and we're going to keep it that way. We're not going to redo the whole thing and strip it to bare metal. I'm going to show you how to blend and do these small repairs and make it look like brand new, like nothing ever happened. All right, back to it. In between that last shot you just saw and the one we're filming now is when we fixed the 53 Austin. And once again, thank you to Lawrence and Brian for letting us film it. Thank you to Glenn for helping us push the car and coming to visit. Yeah, we're going to get back on with this now. So we're going to start with a little 400 sandpaper dry. This is just a small repair, so we don't need to hit this with like 80 grit or anything. We're going to try and keep it really small. So let's start with some 400. I've got just some orbital paper here. Like I said, this is a small repair, so any sandpaper will work. You can just take this and fold it in half, and that gives you a nice sharp corner for like when you're going around edges and stuff to really make sure you get in here. If you don't, that's where you see like paint jobs where it's peeling back from, like, you know, around the headlights or around the bumper or something. You've really got to get right up in there, and we're going to show you how to do that too. But if you're using like 400 grit square paper, I'll show you how to, well, we had the whole sheet here. You rip that in half, then you take it like this, go halfway. This is the best way to use just flat sandpaper. We'll go like that. We go like that. And then you get, when you've used up, like you tend to use the corners more, like I just said. And that's what wears out first. So if you fold it like this, you've got this one to use, then you've got this side to use, then you open it up, and then you've got another sheet. And that's how you get the most use out of your sandpaper. A lot of this stuff that I have kicking around here, it's already used. There's still life in that. This stuff's expensive, and this will save you a few bucks. When you're doing small repairs like this, you don't have to go for a new sheet every time. Get the most out of your materials. It'll save you some money. Okay, so now we're going to start this, and just like in the body fill video, we want to stay mostly on the damaged area. We're not going to like get scratching 400 all into this, and we're going to try and keep this small. We're going to keep the primer small. We're going to blow in the color. We'll add the black stripe if we harm it at all, or sections of it, and we'll get to that. But for now, just stay on the damaged area. When your paper gets dirty, just put it in your hands like this, and that'll clean it right off. We're just going to feather that out. Okay, we almost got it roughed out. Just kind of got the damage off, and make sure there's no rust on it or anything. Now we're going to take a block, and having that flat surface will help us feather and smooth this edge out, so it's a nice transition back into the original paint. Okay, take your block, fold your paper over like that. And just very carefully, once again, we're not going very far off that edge. We just want to feather it out a bit and flatten it out. There we go, just like that. And you can see you want a nice transition. The wider you get these lines, the more smooth it is. And always feel it with your hands. Don't just trust your eyes. It might look straight, but you run your hand over it and I feel a little bit of a bump there, and you can see the lines they're tighter to each other, so it's more of a step down from the metal here to the original paint job. So we'll just give that a little more, just gently, and once again we're trying to feel it. There you go, that's better. We're going to go to a little 600 just by hand, and we're going to go just a little further off the yellow now, just a little bit. Now we're going to use our 800. This is wet sandpaper, so we're just going to take a little bit of water and just like literally to this whole container like a drop of dish soap. It just helps it slip and keeps it clean. Clean the surface as you go. Just wet your paper down like that. And now we can go a little farther again. Wipe that with a clean, dry cotton towel. Check it again. It's very nice. Give it a little more 800. Now we're going to finish it off with a block. And try to go both directions. Like that. You can feel it. You can, if you close your eyes, you shouldn't even be able to feel the lines. If you can, then sand it a little more. There you go. And that's ready for primer. Now we're going to go ahead and do the back fender here. We got some chipping on the edge here. And that's the one that we color match right there. Ooh, come on, focus now. There you go, right there. So we know the color's a good match, and you always want to do this too. And let it dry. And if you see any deviation in color, well, tint it before you use it. This time we're starting with a little 320, but same process. Keep it really small. We're just roughing it out. Just like that. .400. Going just a little bigger than we did before. Now the 600. We can go a little bit further this time. You want to make sure you get the scratch of the previous grit out. And when you're doing any sanding, a good rule of thumb is to not jump grits by more than 100. Like if you start out with 220, 240, then do 320, then do 400, then do 500, 600, 800. When you get into the finer grits, then you can skip by more. You can go from, 1,000 to 1,200 to 1,500 to 2,000. Just fine, no problems. But in when you're using 80 grit or 40 grit, definitely the closer the number, the better it is to get the scratch of the previous grit out. And our 800 wet sand. And wipe that off. You don't have to make a huge mess. You can spray it right on the bike, the water, no problem. But it just kind of gets all over everything. You just spray it on the paper, kind of shake it off. that's more than what you need. You just go like that, and then you don't make a huge mess. Just keeps it cleaner. And the soap in the water helps degrease it as you work. So if you're worried about touching it with your hands, that's what the soap's in the water for. And you get a perfect clean job just like that. Now we're going to go ahead and take the fenders off the bike. Once you've broken these loose, these acorn nuts are on stems and the Allen key head is on this side. And what you do is you break them loose, spin these nuts off, and then you'll back these stems out through outside the fork leg, and then you can get the fender off. Just like that. Put all your parts in a parts bucket. There you go. Don't drop this thing. Once you got the bolts out, there's not going to be much holding it on there. You can see that's loose. You don't want to scratch anything. There we go. Just hang on to it like that. Once you remove the last bolts, just very carefully remove it from the bike.
And now the back fender.
Okay, we're going to start by taking the rear seat off. We're going to start that with this guy and this guy here. Put that in the parts bucket. Get a separate parts bucket, then you won't mix them up. T45, by the way. I think I should mention that. They'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. Get the one that fits. Last one. Now, just before you completely remove the last bolt, you want to hold it up here and then take that one out. That way the seat won't drop. Now that these are all out, there's a tongue right under the gas tank here, and that's what holds the seat on. So all you have to do is lift and kind of wiggle and slide it back like that. It should come right off. Now we're going to unplug the harness that goes to the tail light and the signal lights. You see this little tab right there. You can get right in there. Depress that, just like that. You use your fingernail, you use a small flathead screwdriver, and just pull just like that. That way you won't damage anything. A little oil on these nuts here. Get it all over the place. Just like that. Yeah, this is the ECU, or the electronic control unit for the motorcycle. We're not going to unplug this unless we absolutely have to, because sometimes when you unplug them, you might have to take it to the dealership and reprogram it or something, or clear a code, or it's just better to leave them plugged in. We need this mount off the fender anyway, so let's go ahead and do that. Remove that from the fender like that. Now we're going to take the remaining bolts out here, and the reason you have to remove at least one side of these completely, or at least loosen it up and lean it away, and I'll show you why. If you come over here, you can see there's a little peg that this fender is held by, that it rests on. We're going to have to take that out in order to remove the fender. Now our fender's just about loose. We're going to leave these two right there and on the other side in for just now. They're finger tight. We're just going to leave them in. Now we're going to go ahead and support it. We're going to take these two out all the way now, both sides.
And the last one.
Yep. There you go. just walk away with it like that. Now we're going to take it over the bench and disassemble the rest of it.
Out some cardboard and some cotton rags.
Okay, I'll put that down. Now we're going to flip it over and put it on its face. This is why we put the cotton rags down. You don't want to scratch this. I know we're going to paint it, but we don't want any more damage than we have to. Just like that. Now the reason we left these on here, as you can see, the signal lights run through the fender and into here, and we have to get those unplugged now. Move this rubber grommet. That slides right out of the fender like that. And take the wiring harness out from under the catch. Just like that. Remove the signal light wiring harness from these little retainers here. Just like that. And the other side, same thing. There you go. Remove the tail light. Need a Phillips screwdriver for this. Get the lens off. There's one. There's two. Just like that. Same thing once again. Depress the tab and unplug the tail light. Okay, now just to press these tabs right here, go through that hole there, and there's your signal light. Feed that out through the hole, and again, just to press that little tab. Just be patient. There's a little bit of dirt and stuff on these. They can be a little sticky, so don't force it. You don't want to harm it. Just be patient. Wiggle it a bit, and there she comes, just like that. There we go. And feed that out. That's why we took it off the bike to do this. Otherwise, you're working upside down, and it can be even more difficult. Now remove the supports. And the tail light. And this is the brace. This just gives it strength because you're sitting on this part of the bike. Brace with it. And feed your wire out for your signal light. Slide your retainers out. Just like that. Now for what we're doing, this is good enough. We can mask this up. We're just doing touch-ups. Just put some tape on there, cover this really good. If you want to keep tearing them out, you've got to take these ones out. But they've been in there a long time and we don't want to hurt them, and they're not in our way. We can work with this. But you take that bolt out there and these two in the middle, and you take this main wiring harness out the way we did the tail light and the signal lights. You just depress it. There's a little tab on the side there. Just squeeze it, pull that out. Then you take these 6 bolts out, slide the retainer out, and remove the license plate cover. But we don't have to, so that's good enough for what we're doing.
We've got these off the bike. It's a really good time to clean them up.
It's also a really good time to get in here. It's hard to clean in here when they're on the bike or when the seat's in the way there. You really can't, so now's a good time to get in there and just give it a quick wipe down. Just clean that up a bit. Like I always say, clean as you go, people. I'm just going to wipe that down with some wax and grease remover just so the tape sticks really good and we don't have any problems. And the inside, we want to keep that black, so we're going to mask that too. I put this black in here. I'm keeping it that way. Tape our wiring harness, the inside of our fender. Just get him out of the way. Tape up any holes. Not even so much worried about the yellow getting on the inside. We can touch this up with a little flat black at the end. We're more concerned with we won't want any of the dirt this is the underside of the fender, getting through these holes and getting into our paint on the outside. It's very important. Okay, we're going to start masking up the black. Just tape around the edges, and then we'll fill the center with paper. Just like that. That's right where I went before. Okay, these rubber caps here, right there and right there, I'll show you from the back side here. These guys, they just pop right out. Just hold her up like that, just squeeze it, and there you go, just like that. They say Harley Davidson on it. Cool. Like that. You just use newspaper, but this painter's helper is really handy. It's not too expensive either, so if you like that, just grab a roll of it. You can get it at any paint supply place. Wipe that down from us handling it. Now we're going to mask the top side. Okay, we're just going to be doing a very small amount of primer here, and we don't want overspray on the whole thing. So we're just going to make a soft edge again. Take your tape. There's a couple ways you can do this. There's no wrong way to do this as long as you've got a soft edge. You can put it on the piece you're working like this and fold it back. Just pull that back a little bit. There you go. We're just going to put a small amount there. We want to save as much of the original color as we can. Just go like that. Another way you can do it is you can actually take your tape like this and just start the corner. Pretend you're making like a straw. Go like that. And then you can stick it to your piece. We'll use both kinds. How about that? We'll just go like this. Neither way is wrong, and both ways work. And just put some paper on. And for this, that's all you need. If any of the overspray does go from there, like as long as it's not heavy right at the edge here, it'll give us a really soft line. It'll feather out nice. We'll save a lot of the yellow. If there's any dusting on here, not a problem. We'll just sand it off when we sand this surface.
Now same thing on the front fender. Take the wax and grease remover and wipe. Wipe the residue off. And that's ready to mask.
Don't forget to pet the cat. You big butterball. Very nice. We're going to protect our stripe. Just like that. And then we'll put our soft line on. Once again, start on the corner and pull it over. And make another straw. There we go. Just like that. And our paper. Final wash, wax and grease. We're going to give a light coat of etch primer just on the bare metal. We're not trying to cover it. We just want a light dusting of this stuff. It'll help to stick to bare metal. That's it. Just like that. Now we're going to go ahead and mix our primer. This stuff's 4:1 to 25% reducer. We don't need much, so we're just going to use this little paint lid here. We've done really good prep. We shouldn't need a lot of primer. They're small areas anyway, and we're just going to spray them with this touch-up gun. So let's do that. We're going to go ahead and stir that up real good. Really scrape the bottom. It's high solid primer. It can separate a little bit, not much, but really you can feel it in the bottom. Go until it's real smooth and evenly mixed. It's important. Oh, there we go. Ooh. Now the hardener, you don't have to stir this. 25%, just a drop. Stir that up real good. Straighten it in the gun. Let's go spray. We're going to set our gun up now. You want to spray this at a really low pressure, and always test spray off your panel first. Make sure everything's copacetic.
Let that flash for 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay, now for our last coat, we've already put one on. This time, we're going to stay just inside of this one. We're not going to respray that line at all. We're just going to stay down here on the tip a little bit. Every time you spray primer, start with your biggest coat and get progressively smaller inside of that. You'll get less of a gravel line. You see where it's really gravelly there? You don't want to bury that. Then you'll get a really... It'll be in your primer. It's already dried, eh? So make each spray progressively smaller. We're only going to do 2 coats on this. That's all we need. They were just inside that line. Just like that. Remove the paper. Where'd that go? Remove the tape. There we go. Got a nice soft line on there. That'll feather back really nicely. Let that dry for about 4 hours. Well, that's enough for tonight, everyone. We're going to let this dry actually overnight, and we're going to prep it and paint it in the morning, but we're going to do that in another episode. This one's long enough, and if you got what you want out of this one, well then great. If you want to see more, you want to see the finished product, tune into the next one. Hope this is helpful to someone. Good night, everyone.